So Sidharth, moving on from pricing, let's move to data metrics, right? So how are data
Right.
metric decisions made at Headout? Data metric based.
So when you look, there's a brilliant book which I think every product manager should read, which is What the CEO Wants You to Know, right? Which talks about basic fundamentals of a business. Let's say you're running a lemonade stand, right? You have some input cost. You buy lemon, you buy this thing. You have some staff cost. You sit there, some effort cost, and then you sell it, and then you service it, you refrigerate, you some maintenance, ongoing cost, and at the end you have some sales. You have a margin, how much uptick you had, like it costs you 10 rupees to make one glass of lemonade, you sell for 20 rupees, you have 50% margin, right? These basics do not change from
Right.
business to business. Top line, bottom line, sales, margin, profit, these do not change, right? So first you understand that, because all metrics eventually point to that. If you don't understand basic working metrics of a business, all metrics are going to go out of the window, right? In the end, the business will be like, how much profit did you improve? How much top line or bottom line did you improve? How much conversion did you improve? Either you improve top line, bottom line, or efficiency in the process, right? There are not many other things to do.
Correct.
Now, that also helps you define what is the business priority, right? Because improving efficiency in certain process has certain kind of ROI, right? Let's say there's a famous case studies people joke about, like some airline started removing one olive. They used to give two olives in salad. They give the one olive in salad, they save some $1 million, right? So that has certain kind of impact, versus if you increase the number of customers coming in the funnel, that is a different kind of impact, right? So company prioritizes retention over acquisition, right? These kind of priorities also exist, so you must understand that, so you know where leverage works better. Then you come to final metrics, right? How do you monitor and measure these different parts of the business, right? Typically in company like Flipkart, top line matters a lot because everything is a function of that. It's a known formula. So GMV, GBV is what they were tracking, right?
Can you explain
But
what
eventually everybody started.
what is
So
GMV?
GMV is gross merchandise value, right? And in terms of in our industry where we do bookings, it is gross booking value, which literally means sum of all the bookings, of all the amount of bookings or purchases done, right? Then you have something like net profit, which is actual profit left on the table. Then you have margin, which is what is the percentage of a sale amount that you have in between, the delta between the sale and the production cost, right? So maybe you have 10% margin, 50% margin. Services have higher margin than products do. Technical products have way higher margin than physical products or services do, right? Because you write WhatsApp, look at WhatsApp. If they started charging you, they write the code once, they sell it over and over and over again, right? So that is how typically those metrics work. Most likely, then when you come to engagement based apps, let's say Instagram, where you're looking at, then engagement becomes, and time spent on the app becomes the primary metric. That's why anything that you do on Instagram that makes people spend more time on Instagram or TikTok or any of the social networks will go more viral, right? If you comment, you watch it longer, then Instagram shows it to more people. So in engagement sort of world, time spent and engagement metrics become more appropriate, right? That is where you start to focus. That's why people want to do live. They're building those sort of features which holds people on the platform more, because the longer you stay, the more chances I have to show you ads, which means the more revenue I can get out of you, more the LTV, which is lifetime value of a customer, increases, right? Lifetime value is how much money are you able to make on this customer in a lifetime, right? So these are various product metrics that start to come in. Typically, they're very different metric models you can study. There is AARR, which is acquisition, activation, and then there's retention, revenue, and AAA, acquisition, activation, retention, revenue, and what do you call it, referral, right? So that's one model, that how many people you acquire, then how many activate and start using it, how much revenue do you get, how many of them retain and do not drop off, then how many of them invite more people to join in, right? That's one model. There are many such models you can Google for, which then you can build your sort of analytics dashboard, your KPI dashboard. And then you start in each quarter, you will take the OKR approach or some sort of approach, or in a B2B, you will take a longer sort of timeline and try to improve one of those metrics, right? Let's say we want to improve the ROI on this. We want to improve the turnaround time on this, right? So each department sort of have their favorite metrics. Support has stat, turnaround time, right? And customer satisfaction score. The overall company has NPS, right? Marketing has conversion rate or click-through rate. So you sort of start to see the entire picture, like how does the customer start from finish is serviced by the customer, what all numbers go in there. And now you can start to pinpoint where we suffer, where we are not efficient, and how do we improve that becomes the role of a product manager. So
Correct.
it's very difficult to define skill, but role of product manager I can define to you in one sentence. You'll be given a KPI, you will do shit to improve it. That's it. That's
Right.
literally a product manager's role. How you do it, it's up to you. You want to send an email campaign, you're going to shout on top of your lungs and on top of a building. You want to build a new feature, you want to build feature adoption, you want to do webinar, you want to do brand awareness. It's up to you, boss. This is one KPI you have to improve. Go figure heaven and earth to make this happen, right?
Right.
We want to improve our retention. So that is how the more senior you are, the more ambiguous of that problem statement comes to you.
Correct.
The more junior you are product manager, the more specific comes to you, right? Improve retention in this cohort. We have cohorts as well. Cohorts are segments. Segmentation is very important. You have power users, non-power users, not so good users. You have different kind of segmentations you can do. So some junior APM will be given a problem statement like, hey, improve in this segment of power users, improve adoption of this particular feature. So make sure more people see it, right? Or that could be, so those are the kind of goals you start getting. And that is what your job becomes, to improve those metrics, right?
So
And
the
then you
metrics,
collaborate with these different
the
teams.
kind of metrics that are supposed to be calculated or that are required are based on the business goals naturally, and also
Yes,
sort of based
yes,
on the product/customer goals.
yes. So if you are a company which does one-time sales, right, then retention is not a key metric. Like, say for a real estate company, retention is not going to be a big metric,
Right.
right? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So after these metrics are decided, how do you decide the systems that would collect these metrics? Is that just a part that is that majorly a tech team based work, or how, or do product managers play an important part in that as well? And if they do, how?
Data engineering and product management will be three people who will play key role. If you have ops in your company, they will also play a key role
Right.
in defining how these are measured. Certain ops kind of things are measured by ops tool themselves. For example, your support operations, right? The
Okay.
turnaround time will be measured by the tool itself, right? You don't have to measure it separately. Most product-based analytics will be some event-based analytics. You will use something like GTM, and you will plug in something like Amplitude or Mixpanel, right? If you want something more mature. Because Google Analytics does not scale.
The other tool.
Google Analytics, where people start,
Okay.
right? They use Google Analytics also. Google also offers GTM, which is Google Tag Manager, where you can plug in multiple of these services and send data out to multiple services, right? Some people will build in-house DBs and services on top of that with Metabase and everything, or some people will build, use Amplitude or Mixpanel or
Okay.
tools like that. Those are product analytics tool. Some
Right.
companies which are marketing heavy and not product heavy will suffice with Clever Tap and those kind of tools, but those are more marketing analytics tools, not really product analytics tool.
Sure.
They don't give you the kind of reliability that you want. In very specific kind of stages, a product manager gets involved to decide how these particular functions will be measured. For example, I want to measure success of search results,
Right.
right? Now, when do I call it success? At what event? At what
Right.
interaction do I call it
Exactly.
success? Do I call it success when you click the search result, or do I call it success when you click the search result and did not come back, right? That's an important nuance where I need to understand UX. And I
Right.
collaborate with my UX researcher and my UI team to understand the implications of where we measure that, right? How we
Correct.
define that success rate of the search. So that is where product managers get involved of the nuances of where this particular item should be measured, what things should be measured, how will you use this in an analysis or success of the product and business, right? What are the implications of this being a precise rate versus delayed, right? You have those kind of trade-offs, right? For example, you're deciding you say that I'm going to take DB field of all the bookings done, and that's going to be my booking value, but that
Right.
does not take into consideration the cancellations done, right? Now, depending on your analysis, that may or may not be important, right? For your consideration. If you're
Correct.
doing ops work, it is important. If you're doing UI work and marketing work, it does not matter, right? Because that had nothing to do with design and marketing. Why that got cancelled. So yeah, that is how you look at these metrics, and these are very standard metrics. That's why I would just start with this book called What the CEO Wants You to Know. They'll give you a framework of how business works. When you start to map that out, you will start to realize what numbers in your company relate to these kind of signals, and then you can get level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, where you keep defining more and more metrics. Another way to look at metrics in product management is lead and lag metrics. Certain metrics give you a lead signal before the lag signal happens. For example, if we improve our booking flow, the drop-off rate will and the click-through rate will improve, right? Will increase. Drop-off rate will decrease before the booking conversion rate increases, right? So way before we see a GBV improvement, gross booking value, or GMV improvement, we'll see a conversion rate improvement. Before we see a conversion rate improvement, we will see a CTR rate improvement, right? Before we see a CTR rate improvement, we'll see a bounce rate improvement. So they are lead and lag metrics, right? And the quality of signal changes, right? An improvement in bounce rate will not necessarily result in higher GMV, right? But an improvement in conversion rate definitely will, right? But that is where you come to quality of signal, reliability of signal, and those kind of things, where you must get into data and analytics, studying basics of stats, right? Really helps. If you're able to work on certain data sets yourself, a skill set like IPython notebook, so you learn basics of Python and data analytics, and you can do much of the data analysis yourself. If somebody gives you a CSV dump, that is going to be super critical skill, because with data and prototypes, right, you can tell stories and you can move an entire company. With prototype, you convince people to build it. With data, you show this is the impact we had, and then you do it again and again and again and again, right? So yeah, that completes the cycle of a product manager.
This should definitely Google all the terms that they don't understand. Because I understand majority of them, and there's a lot of insight once they Google and they keep clicking through and researching about them. Great. So while we're studying about these metrics, while we're talking about these metrics in terms of building a feature, when it comes to troubleshooting, what's the difference in the type of process?
Can you explain a little bit more about what you mean by troubleshooting?
So, for example, when you're working on a feature and maybe some goals did not result in the way they were expected to be, so how are they troubleshooted such that they're directed to the kind of success that you want?
So let's say we fail to meet a certain goal and it did not go as planned, right? Then we do some sort of a retrospective as well, like what happened there and why it might have failed, right? There is often analysis. Typically, we start like looking at what were the expectation in terms of numbers, right? In the lead signals, and where did it start dropping off? So let's say we improved our booking flow, bounce rate improved, time taken to booking also improved, but conversion did not improve, right? And then we go back to our numbers and start looking at L2 numbers, right? Level 2 numbers. Okay. Sure. People spend less time, right? But they were bouncing off on dropping off of step number 4, right? Has that changed? Are they bouncing off later on in the process? What have we changed? What information have we changed there? Can we watch a bunch of sessions to understand what might be going through users' mind? Can we speak to a bunch of users to understand why this may be happening, right? Then we may come up with 2 more hypotheses. Okay, maybe they're dropping off because it has a negative messaging here. Maybe they're dropping off because the screen is too complex and convoluted, right? Then on those 2 hypotheses, depending on how much it costs, we can build another prototype and test that hypothesis out, right? Or we may realize, the number says that people like this event is just not firing. It does not look right. Then you realize, there was a tech bug, right? So it can be anything. Is it behavioral thing? Is it information asymmetry? Is it UX problem? Is it a value proposition problem? Is it too much complexity? Then you start to dive deeper to look for signals. What could have gone wrong, right? For example, we knew that people who search on our website tend to convert more, but that sheer number of people was dropping, even though our traffic was increasing. Now, what is going on? We did search placement experiment, more people are searching, but suddenly the total number of people searching is also dropping and percentage is also dropping while the rest of the traffic is growing. Now you start to realize that the reason that was happening is because the search algorithm is failing in quality. Earlier, you used to have X number of results, so people search more and more and more. And now the first result also because search algorithm has fallen in quality and matches more, so people are seeing no results, and then they don't try another search, right? So over time, and people who search are typically people who retain, right? Who know your brand. That's why they're searching on your website. So it becomes a learned behavior. If search wasn't working, now I'm less likely to gonna use search moving on, right? So that is how you start to look into, oh, so this quality of search. I don't see what I'm seeing here is people are not doing repeat search, which I have two hypotheses. Either people found what they were looking for, or they did not find. The only way I can look at is search success rate. Now I build that diagram and I suddenly realize, oh, search match rate, like no result rate, which is number of people who find no results per 100 search, people who search, increased from 10 to 30%, which means earlier, 1 out of 10 people who searched did not find a result. Now 3 out of 10 people who are searching are not finding results, and that's why we see this effect, even though we improve the rest of the whatever, like we improve the rest of the search placement. So this is how you do sort of with data and UX questioning, non-direct questioning, or
It comes
UX
with seeing every
reviewing the
possibility
customer.
and then ruling out everything that was done poorly,
Right.
and then leading it down to a particular hypothesis that either this or that.
Right. And validating with either data or validating with that with an interview, with a conversation with a customer. And if you validate with both, that is the best validation ever.
Awesome.